The Master Maid, a gentle Norwegian bedtime fairy tale. Before we begin tonight's gentle tale, take a quiet moment to get comfortable. If you enjoy calm stories like this one, stories that help your mind slow down and your thoughts drift away, consider subscribing to the channel. A simple like or share helps these peaceful stories reach others who may need a little calm at the end of their day. Now let your breathing soften and let the story begin. The Poor Boy and the Whispering North Wind. Far north, where the nights grew long and the stars seemed closer to the earth, there lived a poor boy in a small wooden cottage at the edge of a pine forest. The cottage leaned slightly to one side, as if it had grown tired of standing straight through so many winters. Its roof was heavy with moss, and its windows glowed faintly at night, like sleepy eyes refusing to close completely. The boy lived there with his father, a quiet man whose hands were always rough and whose voice was always gentle. His mother had been gone for many years now, gone like mist in the morning, leaving behind only memories and the habit of speaking softly, even when no one else was in the room. They had very little. Some days they had barely enough bread, other days not even that. Yet the boy never complained. At night, he would sit near the hearth, listening to the fire crackle and the wind press against the walls. And sometimes, just sometimes, he felt as though the wind was trying to speak. Not loudly, not urgently, but patiently. On one such evening, the father sighed and looked at the empty table. "Tomorrow," he said slowly, "we must find work, or fortune, or something kinder than hunger." The boy nodded. That night he dreamed of a voice calling him beyond the forest, soft, calm, and certain. The journey begins. The next morning, before the sun had fully risen, the boy wrapped his thin coat tighter and stepped outside. Frost kissed the ground. The forest stood still, watching. He walked and walked. The pine trees whispered overhead, their needles brushing against one another like old secrets being shared. Hours passed. The cold no longer bit, it simply existed. At the deepest edge of the forest, where the light thinned and the air felt older, the wind stopped him. Not by force, by voice. "Go farther," it seemed to say. So he did. The strange mountain. By evening, he reached something impossible. A mountain, not of stone, but of something that shimmered faintly, like frozen moonlight, smooth, silent, watching. At its base stood a house, and in the doorway stood a young woman. She was calm, too calm for such a lonely place. "You're late," she said gently. The boy blinked. Late for what? To become something more than you are. She smiled, not warmly, not coldly, but wisely. "I am called the Master Maid." And before the boy could ask another question, the door closed softly behind him. That night, as the wind wrapped around the mountain and the stars held their breath, the boy slept deeper than he had ever had before. unaware that every step he had taken was leading him toward a destiny both gentle and terrible. And the Master Maid watched, waiting.
The journey beyond the pine forest. The boy woke slowly. Not suddenly, not with surprise, but as if his sleep had loosened its hold on him gently, the way mist lifts from a lake at dawn. The room around him was quiet, too quiet. No wind pressed against the walls here, no creaking wood, no distant bird call. The air felt steady, calm, and strangely warm, nothing like the cold forest night he remembered. He sat up. The room was simple, wooden walls, smooth and pale, as though they had never known smoke or age. A small table stood near the wall, and beside it a single chair. No clutter, no decoration, only stillness. For a moment the boy wondered if he was still dreaming. Then he noticed the door. It stood slightly open, and from beyond it came the softest sound, footsteps, unhurried, unafraid. The Master Maid speaks. She entered without ceremony, the Master Maid. In the daylight, if this gentle glow could be called daylight, she seemed no older than before, yet somehow more ancient. Her silver blonde hair fell loosely over her shoulders, catching the light like frost warmed by the sun. "You slept well," she said. The boy nodded, unsure why he trusted her words so completely. "Where am I?" he asked. She smiled, not kindly, not cruelly, but knowingly. "Beyond where you were, and not yet where you are meant to be." She gestured toward the open door. "Come, there is a journey before the journey." Beyond the forest. Outside, the world had changed. The forest was still there, but it no longer felt endless or threatening. The trees stood back slightly, as if giving way. A narrow path stretched ahead, winding between hills the boy had never seen before. The sky above was pale and calm, not morning, not evening, something in between. They walked together, the boy and the Master Maid, their footsteps quiet on the soft earth. "Why did you bring me here?" the boy finally asked. She did not answer at once. "Because you listened when the wind spoke." The boy frowned. "I didn't know I was listening." "That," she said gently, "is why you heard it." Lessons without teaching. As they walked, the land shifted subtly. Hills rose and fell like slow breaths. Streams crossed their path, their waters clear and unhurried. At one stream, the Master Maid stopped. "Cross," she said. There were no stones, no bridge. The boy hesitated. "I can't," he said. She looked at him, not disappointed, not amused. "Then wait." So he waited, and as he stood there, the water seemed to grow shallower, not because it moved, but because he noticed where to step. When he crossed safely, she nodded once. They continued. She never explained the lesson. She never needed to. The land of tasks. By the time the sky deepened into a soft silver blue, they reached another place entirely. Fields stretched wide and empty. In the distance stood buildings, low halls and tall towers, silent and watchful. "This is where tasks are given," the Master Maid said. The boy felt a tightening in his chest. "Tasks?" "Yes, not to punish," she added calmly, "but to reveal." They approached the nearest hall. Its doors were tall and dark, carved with shapes that looked like sleeping creatures. Before the boy could speak, the doors opened. Inside waited men and women with pale faces and heavy eyes, servants, guards, figures who looked as though they had forgotten the sound of laughter. A voice echoed through the hall. "Another one," it said, "another who thinks himself capable." The boy opened his mouth to protest. The Master Maid placed a hand lightly on his arm. "Do not explain yourself," she whispered. "Let your actions speak slowly." The first shadow of danger. The voice belonged to a king, though the boy could not yet see him clearly. "He will be given work," the voice said, "and if he fails, he stays." The hall fell silent. The Master Maid met the boy's eyes. "You may turn back," she said softly. The boy thought of his father, the empty table, the wind that had called him. He shook his head. "I'll stay." Something flickered in her expression then, approval perhaps, or something deeper. A quiet warning. That night the boy was given a place to sleep, hard ground, thin blanket, cold air. Before she left, the Master Maid spoke once more. "Remember this," she said. "Not every danger roars. Some dangers whisper comfort." He nodded, though he did not yet understand. As she disappeared into the shadows, the boy stared up at the unfamiliar sky. He felt small, but not alone. And somewhere beyond the silent halls, the journey waited, patient, inevitable, and already unfolding. The wind moved gently across the fields, carrying secrets from one place to another. The boy closed his eyes, unaware that the path ahead would test not his strength, but his memory. And far away, the Master Maid watched once more, waiting.
The Glass Mountain and the Master Maid. Morning did not arrive the way the boy expected. There was no sunrise, no golden light spilling over the fields, no birds announcing the day. Instead, the sky slowly shifted from deep blue to a pale, colorless silver, as though night had simply loosened its grip and stepped aside. The boy opened his eyes. The great hall still stood in the distance, silent, heavy, unmoving. The air felt cool but calm, like a breath held too long and finally released. For a moment, he wondered if the Master Maid had left him. Then he saw her. She stood at the edge of the field, silver blonde hair stirred gently by the wind, her gray-blue dress unmoved by dust or time. She looked toward the towering shape behind the halls, the mountain he had only glimpsed in darkness. In daylight, it revealed itself fully. The Glass Mountain. The mountain that reflected the sky. It was not made of glass exactly, yet it shone like it. Its surface was smooth and pale, reflecting the sky, the land, even the boy's small figure at its base. No cracks, no handholds, no visible path upward. The boy felt a tightness in his chest. "How can anyone climb that?" he asked quietly. The Master Maid did not look at him. "No one climbs it," she said. "They are brought to the top." "By whom?" She turned then, meeting his eyes. "By themselves." The first task revealed. A low horn sounded from the halls. The boy flinched. From the shadows emerged a group of servants, their faces pale and expressionless. One stepped forward, holding a small wooden bowl. "The king commands," the servant said flatly, "that you clean the Glass Mountain before nightfall." The boy stared. "Clean it?" The servant nodded. "Every mark, every stain, until it reflects nothing but the sky." The boy looked up at the impossible slope. The servant turned and left. Silence followed.
The boy swallowed. "I can't do this." The Master Maid's voice was gentle. "You cannot," she agreed, "not alone. Help that must be earned." She led him closer to the mountain's base. Up close, the surface shimmered faintly, as though it remembered every touch it had ever known. The boy placed his hand against it. Cold, smooth, unyielding. "Listen," the Master Maid said softly. "The mountain does not respond to force. It responds to patience." She reached into the folds of her dress and drew out a simple cloth, thin, gray, and unremarkable. "Wipe," she instructed. The boy hesitated. "That's all?" She smiled faintly. "That is enough." The long work. The boy worked slowly. He wiped where he could reach. The cloth moved softly across the surface, leaving no mark, yet somehow the mountain seemed to grow clearer where he touched it. Time passed strangely. The sky did not move. The light did not change. Yet the boy's arms grew tired, his hands numb from the cold. When he faltered, the Master Maid spoke. "Rest is not failure." He rested. Then he worked again. Little by little, the mountain began to reflect not the boy, not the cloth, but the sky itself. High above, unseen by the boy, a figure stood at a tall window. The king. He watched with narrowed eyes as the surface of the glass mountain shifted and cleared. "This one is different," the king murmured. "He listens," replied a voice beside him, low, cautious. The king said nothing more. The hidden cost. As night approached, if it could be called night, the mountain shimmered brighter than before. The boy stepped back, exhausted. "I did it," he whispered. The Master Maid looked at the mountain, then at him. "Yes," she said, "but remember this." She leaned closer, her voice barely more than breath. "Every task completed here binds you more tightly to this place." The boy frowned. "Then why help me?" Her eyes softened. "Because some bonds are meant to be broken." The glass mountain reflected the empty sky, flawless and still. The king turned away from his window. The boy lay down at the mountain's base, too tired to fear, too tired to wonder. And as sleep took him, the Master Maid remained awake, watching the mountain, the halls, and the quiet tightening of fate.
The first impossible task. The boy woke with the mountain reflected in his dreams. Even with his eyes open, it was still there, smooth, pale, endless. The glass mountain rose above him, unchanged by night or effort, as if time itself had slipped and fallen away at its base. For a moment, he thought the task had been a dream. Then the cold in his hands reminded him otherwise. He sat up slowly. The cloth lay beside him, thin and gray, as ordinary as ever. Yet the mountain shimmered faintly, its surface clearer than before. "You finished," a voice said. The Master Maid stood a short distance away. The morning, if it could be called morning, hung quiet and silver around her. "I only wiped," the boy said. She nodded, and that was enough. A new command. The sound of the horn came again, low, heavy, unavoidable. Servants emerged from the halls, their steps slow and perfectly measured. One approached the boy and bowed stiffly. "The king commands," he said, "that you appear before him." The boy felt his chest tighten. The Master Maid's gaze met his. "Remember," she said softly, "a king's power is loud, truth is quiet." The king who never smiled. The great hall swallowed sound. Tall stone pillars stretched upward, vanishing into shadow.
Torches burned without flicker. At the far end, upon a raised platform, sat the king. He was older than the boy expected. His face was sharp and pale, his eyes thin and cold, like frozen water that had never known warmth. "You cleaned the mountain," the king said. The boy nodded, unsure whether to speak. "Many have tried, all have failed." He leaned forward slightly. "So I will test you again." The second task. Servants brought forth baskets, dozens of them, filled with feathers, white, gray, black, and brown, mixed together in impossible disorder. "You will sort them," the king said calmly, "by color, by kind, by bird." The boy stared. "There is not enough time," the king added, almost pleasantly. "You have until nightfall." A murmur passed through the hall. The Master Maid stood silently at the edge of the room. The boy swallowed. "I will try." The king smiled then, but it never reached his eyes. Help from the smallest voices. The baskets were taken outside. The boy knelt beside them, hands trembling. Feathers spilled everywhere, light as breath, countless. He closed his eyes. He remembered the stream, the mountain, the waiting. He began slowly, touching one feather at a time. That was when he heard it. A flutter, a whisper of wings. Birds gathered, not loudly, not dramatically, but naturally. Sparrows, doves, ravens, each settling near the feathers that belonged to them. The boy watched in wonder as the impossible began to sort itself. From a distance, the Master Maid observed. She said nothing. The cost of success. By the time the light faded again, the basket stood perfectly arranged. The servants stared. The king's expression darkened. "You did not do this alone," he said. "No," the boy replied quietly, "but I did not command them either." The king rose slowly. "You grow dangerous. Those who succeed here forget the world beyond these walls." The Master Maid stepped forward. "Not all of them," she said. For the first time, the king looked uneasy. That night, the boy lay awake longer than before. The halls felt closer now, the mountain heavier. Success had brought safety, but also attention. And in the quiet spaces between thought and sleep, the Master Maid wondered how many tasks remained before memory itself would be demanded. The morning came quietly again. No sun climbed the sky, no shadow shifted. The world simply softened from dark to pale, as though someone had gently turned down the night. The boy sat up slowly. For the first time since arriving here, he felt something unfamiliar stir inside him. Not fear, not wonder, but awareness. He was beginning to understand this place, not with his mind, with his patience. The ground that remembered. The baskets of feathers were gone. In their place lay bare earth, smooth, dark, undisturbed. The great hall stood farther away now, as if the land itself had drawn a careful breath overnight. The boy knelt and pressed his hand to the ground. It was warm, not from sun or fire, but from something deeper, something old and quietly alive. "Everything here remembers," said the Master Maid. She stood nearby, her silver blonde hair barely moving in the still air. "The mountain remembers touch, the birds remember belonging, and the earth remembers footsteps." The boy looked up. "Does it remember me?" She met his eyes. "It will." The third task arrives. The horn sounded again. This time it felt closer, Servants approached, slower than before, their eyes avoiding the boy's face. One carried no basket, no tool, only a sealed clay tablet. "The king commands," the servant said, voice flat, "that you find what was buried before the halls were built." The boy frowned. What was buried? The servant shook his head. "That is the task." He turned and left. The silence afterward felt heavier than sound. Searching without digging. The boy looked at the land, wide, empty, still. "How can I find something buried," he asked softly, "without digging the whole world apart?" The Master Maid crouched beside him and pressed her palm flat to the ground. "Do not disturb what trusts you. Listen first." The boy closed his eyes. At first there was nothing. Then, subtle, almost imagined, he felt it. A gentle pressure, a slow pulse, like a heartbeat beneath the soil. He followed it, not with steps, but with stillness, until it led him to a small rise in the earth. There, the ground felt different, waiting. The smallest guides. A bird landed nearby, then another. Not the same birds as before. These were smaller, quieter. Wrens, finches, creatures that rarely drew attention. They did not point. They did not cry out. They simply stayed. The boy knelt. With careful hands, he brushed the soil aside, not digging, only uncovering. Something pale emerged. Stone. The buried truth. It was not treasure. It was a marker, smooth, worn by time, etched with symbols older than the halls, older even than the king. The Master Maid inhaled softly. "This place once belonged to no one," she said. "That stone remembers." The boy lifted it carefully. As he did, a tremor passed through the ground, subtle, restrained, but real. From the halls, the king felt it. A king's unease. High in his chamber, the king stood abruptly. "What has he found?" he demanded. No one answered. Below, the earth settled, but not into silence, into watchfulness. The cost revealed. The boy brought the stone to the edge of the field. Servants stared as he placed it gently upon the ground. "The task is complete," he said. The king arrived himself this time, his gaze fixed on the stone, his jaw tightening. "You listen too well. That is dangerous." The boy did not respond. The Master Maid stepped forward. What was buried is never truly lost. The king's eyes flicked to her. For the first time, something like fear passed through them. That night, the boy slept lightly. The ground beneath him felt awake. Birds rested nearby, wings folded, breathing slow. And as dreams came and went like gentle tides, the Master Maid watched the horizon, knowing the tasks ahead would no longer test skill or patience, but memory. The night after the stone was revealed, the world seemed to hold its breath. No horn sounded at dawn. No servants came running. Even the birds waited longer than usual before singing. The boy woke as the sky slowly shifted from deep blue to soft gray. The ground beneath him felt warmer than before, as if the earth itself remembered his trust. Nearby, the Master Maid stood quietly, her hands folded, eyes turned toward the distant halls. "The sixth task will not be announced," she said at last, her voice calm as falling snow. "It will arrive on its own." The boy nodded. He had learned by now that rushing only made the world grow louder, and that the loudest things often hid the truth. As the morning unfolded, the land changed. Mist crept low across the fields, curling around stones and trees. Sounds dulled, as if wrapped in cloth. Footsteps vanished. Even breathing felt softer. From the mist emerged shapes, familiar, yet wrong. The boy saw his childhood home, standing whole and warm. He smelled bread baking. He heard laughter. His heart tightened. Then the image trembled and faded. Next came shadows of fear, deep water pulling him down, endless darkness, the echo of his own voice unanswered. The boy closed his eyes. He remembered the Master Maid's lesson. What demands your fear is rarely real. What asks for silence often is. So he did nothing. He did not run. He did not speak. He did not reach. Slowly, the visions dissolved like smoke. Across the misted field, the king watched from a raised stone platform. His face was pale, his fingers clenched tightly around the edge. This trial was meant to break the boy, not through strength, but through longing and terror. Yet the boy stood still. At the center of the field, a small cracked mirror resting on a stone pedestal. The Master Maid approached and stopped several steps away. This mirror shows not who you are, but who you believe yourself to be. The boy stepped forward. In the mirror, he did not see a hero. He did not see a fool. He saw a quiet boy, tired but steady, afraid yet kind, unchanging. He did not flinch. The mirror darkened, then it cracked straight down the middle, splitting silently. A deep sound rolled through the land, not a horn, not a shout, but something older, something approving. The mist lifted. Servants fell to their knees. Birds burst into song. Even the wind seemed freer. The king stepped back, shaken. He had no more illusions to offer. That night, as stars appeared one by one, the Master Maid spoke quietly beside the boy. You have passed the hardest task, to see clearly and still remain gentle. The boy lay down, eyes heavy, listening to the earth's slow heartbeat. Sleep came easily, and far away, something ancient began to prepare for the final truth.
The land did not celebrate loudly after the sixth trial. Instead, it grew quiet in a deeper way, like a breath held before a difficult truth is spoken. The boy felt it the moment he woke. The air was heavier. The ground beneath him felt tense, as if the earth itself were waiting for a decision. The Master Maid stood facing the old halls, her expression no longer gentle. The seventh task, she said, is not about what you can endure. She turned to him. It is about what you are willing to give up. The boy listened carefully. By now, he understood that the greatest trials were never announced with horns or commands. They arrived softly, and they stayed. At midday, servants led them inside the great hall for the first time. The walls were tall and bare, built of cold gray stone. High above, narrow windows let in thin gleams of light. At the center stood the king, seated stiffly on his throne, his face pale and drawn. You have come too far, the king said, farther than any before you. His voice was steady, but his hands trembled. There is only one task left before the end, he continued, and it carries a cost. At the king's signal, the floor before the boy shimmered. From the stone rose a vision, clear and unmistakable. The boy saw himself walking away, not triumphant, not celebrated, just free. A simple life appeared. Open roads, changing skies, no halls, no trials, no Master Maid, no watching eyes, no burdens. His chest tightened. Then the vision shifted. He saw the Master Maid as she truly was, bound to the land, to the king's broken bargain, unable to leave, eternal, quiet, and alone. The king leaned forward. "You may go," he said softly. "Leave now, and the gates will open. You will forget this place. Live freely, untouched." The hall was silent. The boy turned to the Master Maid. For the first time, she looked uncertain, not afraid, but exposed. "If you stay," the king said, "you will free her, but you will take her place." The truth settled like stone. To free the land, someone must remain bound. The boy closed his eyes. He thought of the earth that spoke only when respected, the birds that guided without demanding, the silence that revealed truth, and he understood. When he opened his eyes, they were calm. "I will stay," he said. The king recoiled, as if struck. The Master Maid stepped forward sharply. "No," she said, her voice breaking for the first time. "That is not the choice I wanted for you." The boy smiled gently. Freedom that costs another's soul is not freedom. The hall shook, not violently, but deeply, as if the land itself had heard. Cracks spread across the stone floor. The king cried out as his throne fractured beneath him. Chains, unseen, fell away from the Master Maid, dissolving like mist. She fell to her knees, not weak, but overwhelmed. "You have chosen," the land whispered. That night, the boy did not sleep. Stars watched quietly as the world prepared to change forever.
The night after the choice felt different. Not heavier, not lighter, just awake. The boy stood alone at the edge of the broken hall. The stone beneath his feet was warm now, as though the land itself recognized him. Above, clouds moved slowly, revealing stars that seemed closer than before. Behind him, the Master Maid watched silently. "You do not yet belong to this place," she said softly, "but the land is listening." At dawn, the world shifted. Cracks spread gently across the old halls, not in destruction, but in release. Stone walls loosened. Ivy pushed through ancient seams. The towers leaned, tired of standing. Servants gathered in the open field, unsure whether to flee or kneel. The king did not appear. Instead, the earth spoke. Not in words, but in movement. From the center of the field, the ground rose slowly, forming a wide stone circle older than memory. Symbols glowed faintly, marks of oath and balance, not power. The boy stepped forward instinctively. As he entered the circle, memories flooded him, not his own, but the land's. He felt the first bargain made in fear, the binding of the Master Maid, the king's ancestors choosing control over harmony. The boy staggered, but remained standing. The Master Maid followed, her face unreadable. "This is the choosing place," she said softly. "Here the land decides who serves and how." The symbols brightened. The boy felt the land weigh him, not his strength, not his courage, but his willingness to remain gentle while holding responsibility. He did not kneel. He did not stand tall in defiance. He simply remained present. Slowly, the stone circle changed. The symbols beneath the boy softened, reshaping into paths instead of chains. The Master Maid gasped quietly. The land was refusing the old rule. A deep tremor passed through the earth. Far away, the king screamed as the last of his power dissolved, his bond shattered, not transferred. The land had chosen differently. The Master Maid felt the weight lift from her shoulders. For the first time, her breath caught, not in pain, but disbelief. "You are not replacing me," she whispered. "You are ending the need for me." The boy turned to her. "Then walk free," he said. Light spread gently across the field, not blinding, not harsh, just enough. The stone circle sank back into the earth. The halls continued to crumble, not violently, but peacefully, returning to ground and memory. By nightfall, the land was quiet again, but it was a new quiet, one that did not demand sacrifice. As the boy lay beneath the stars, sleep came slowly. The land no longer watched him, it trusted him. And somewhere deep beneath the soil, something ancient finally rested.
Morning came without ceremony. No horns, no commands, just light. The boy woke to the sound of birds, not calling him, not warning him, simply singing because the world allowed it again. The ground felt cool and kind beneath his hands. When he stood, he noticed something new. A path. It had not been there before. Stone slabs curved gently away from the field, leading toward the northern hills. At the end of the path stood a single arch of stone, unfinished, ancient, and waiting. The Master Maid approached, her steps light. She no longer moved like someone bound. "That is the last gate," she said. "It was never meant to be opened by force." The boy followed the path slowly. Each step felt lighter than the last, as if the land itself were releasing him. As they walked, the world changed. The air warmed, colors deepened, old scars in the land softened. Behind them, the broken halls continued to settle into the earth, becoming hills instead of ruins. At the gate, the boy paused. Beyond the arch, he saw no grand kingdom, no shining reward. He saw villages without walls, children laughing without fear, roads without guards, a world choosing balance instead of control. The Master Maid stopped beside him. "When you pass through," she said, "you will no longer hear the land as you do now. You will live as others live." The boy nodded. "I think that's how it should be." He stepped forward. The gate shimmered, not brightly, but warmly, and then faded, stone becoming nothing more than stone. The land exhaled. Behind him, the Master Maid closed her eyes. For the first time, she felt time move forward. She smiled. The boy did not look back. He walked into the gentle world, carrying nothing but memory and kindness. Far behind him, the land remained, free, quiet, and whole. Years passed without being counted. The boy, now simply a man, walked roads that did not know his name. He lived as others lived. He worked, rested, laughed quietly, and listened more than he spoke. He never ruled. He never commanded. And because of that, the world healed. Villages grew without walls. Children slept without fear of horns or summons. The land learned again how to breathe on its own. Sometimes, when the wind moved just right, the man would pause. He would feel something familiar in the soil beneath his feet. Not a voice, not a command, just a gentle knowing. Far away, beyond memory and distance, the Master Maid aged for the first time. Her hair silvered not with magic, but with years. Lines touched her face, not as burden,
but as proof of living. She walked freely among people who did not know what she once was. At night, she would look at the stars and smile. The land no longer needed guardians, it needed kindness, and it had learned that well. One evening, the man sat beneath an old tree, watching birds settle into their nests. His breath slowed. The world felt complete. When he lay down to sleep, the earth was warm and familiar. This time, it did not watch him, it rested with him. And somewhere deep beneath roots and stone, the last echoes of fear faded forever. The world breathed in, the world breathed out, and the story ended, not with an ending, but with peace.